racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. PIKEY wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes. Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
All right, let's keep it up, Pete. You ready here, Bossy?
Yep. Look at you've got an audience.
Yes. Yay. Sandy, thank you for coming in. Our first live studio audience.
Yes.
And my first time in the chair.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Who's the Boss, a revolution in horse racing podcasting. I am clearly not Julie Snook. I am what they refer to me as the prof, the professor, a nickname I did not come up with. Unfortunately, Julie is a bit under the weather, so I have been called in last minute to fill in, and I'm going to try to fill her very big shoes. That's obviously metaphorical.
Is it?
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're. Hugo, are they big shoes? 9. Size 9. Okay, there you go. What is this show? It is called Who's the Boss? Let me bring in the man who the show is named after. Let me do this correctly. It's a man that's won 3 Melbourne Cups, 4 Cox Plates, 2 Golden Slippers. He's also, he's a member of the Horse Racing Hall of Fame, and around this time of year, springtime, he is the master of the mounting yard, and he is definitely on heat. Please welcome Mr. Glenn Boss.
James.
Bossy, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thank you for having me in to do this.
Mate,
to
you look really comfortable in that seat.
It is a very comfortable seat.
And just looking at you, like, honestly, we could be undercover brothers, different mothers.
Yeah, we are.
Have a look at us.
Very
like, really?
Handsome.
Two handsome-looking blokes, aren't we?
Hey, very, very handsome. Mate, it is an absolute thrill to be in here, and I am going to do my best with you today. My racing knowledge isn't up to Julie's standard, but you just point out when I get it wrong.
Oh, don't worry. I will. I'm going to call you out.
You'll keep me honest?
Try to.
Very good. Hey, Bossy, I want to get right into the racing, right off the top here,
Yep.
mate. I'm going to call this Bossy's big main takeaways from the weekend. Was there anything that stood out that we need to address right now?
Geez, that's a fair mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't
Bossy's
even remember
big main takeaways from the weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Well, here we go. Well, the Golden Rose, which is the most captivating race of last weekend, as I alluded to, and I've been telling everyone, Broadsiding is a proper superstar, and he come out there first up, never been done in the history of this race. James Cummings had his 50th Group 1 winner, and James McDonald had his 99th Group 1 winner in this race.
Wow.
So Broadsiding cemented his place as one of the best 3-year-olds the best 3-year-old in the country, I believe. And he'll go towards the Guineas, Caulfield Guineas, and now he is third favourite for the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. And if he gets there in fine fettle, which I'm tipping he will be, I guarantee he'll be probably vying for favouritism on the day.
Ooh. Where's he sitting at the moment?
In the market?
Yeah.
Third favourite, 6-1.
Okay.
An import is favourite,
Yeah.
and Pride of Jenny, after her slashing win last weekend, the weekend before, she's second favourite.
Okay, very good. Is there any other Bossy's biggest main
Well,
takeaways from the weekend?
There was
you got
another
one for me?
Yeah, there was another one I predicted. I thought Storm Boy. I was alluding to that he probably won't get the trip.
Yeah.
Because he's a real speed horse and missed the start again, did a bit of work, but didn't get the trip. I'm suggesting they go back to an Everest or into a Coolmore at Flemington down the straight. That's probably where he'll go.
Now, when you say you're suggesting, are you literally saying you should do what Bossy says, or you're thinking that's what will happen?
Well, don't fuck around with this horse. He's a very expensive colt.
Yeah.
Going towards the Guineas, because he's never going to get near Broadsiding. And Traffic Warden, who was unbelievable in the same race in the Golden Rose. So I suggest they go back there.
Yep.
I'm not the trainer, but I'm telling you what to do, Gay.
Gay, listen up to Bossy. He knows what's going on. Now, I need to do this and I need to get it right. It is the sponsor read at the top of the show, Bossy.
Yes.
This episode of Who's the Boss is brought to you by AirTouch, the ultimate smart air conditioning controller for your home or business. With AirTouch, you can control the temperature in any room right from your phone or smart device, no matter where you are. It's like having climate control in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, it is.
Bossy. Plus, with its energy-saving features, AirTouch helps you reduce your power bills while keeping everyone comfortable. Whether you're looking to cool down this summer or heat things up in winter, AirTouch has you covered. Discover smarter climate control today by visiting airtouch.net.au. I'm sure we'll put a little something there for you to find, a little something at the bottom of the frame there so you can go and find them. Stay cool, stay connected with AirTouch. Have you got your AirTouch yet,
Well,
Bossy?
yeah, it's very good. You know, in this current climate, energy prices are through the roof.
Oh.
And if you've got the old arcade bullshit air conditioning. You go, well, shit, I want the house to be cool when I get back. You leave it on all bloody day.
Yeah.
Like, because you want your house cool.
Of course,
With
yeah.
this one, you pick up you get on the app,
Yeah.
boom, 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 like that. An hour before you get home or half an hour home, you turn it on and you walk into your house and it's just perfect.
What do you set your aircon at, Bossy? What's Bossy's?
About 19.
You like it
19.
cold?
Like it cold, mate.
I'm a 22
If
degrees.
when I walk in, you could hang, after about 5 minutes, you could hang 5 wet, cold towels off my nipples.
That is chilly.
I like
Bossy.
it cold.
I like it. And you've obviously got very large nipples as
I got
well.
big nipples.
Let's get into the socials. You can find us on
Where do we go?
Insta, Facebook, and TikTok. Also on YouTube. It is at Who's the Boss Pod. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. As I said, it is a racing podcast revolution. Everybody is getting on board. All right, that's enough of me at the top of the show here, Bossy. You have provided us with another oh, fuck, I fucked it. That's how this
We
works.
can
Drew's
use that,
used to
though.
it.
We can use that. Don't be nervous. He's a big star.
Oh, no, he's sitting in the room. The guest has arrived.
Mate, don't you get
He is-
nervous when they walk in?
Oh, mate, I've always wanted to meet this guy. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Who
me
is
too.
this very special guest that you've provided for us here, Bossy?
Well, we have a few synergies. Like, one of his biggest moments was one of my biggest moments the same year. So, debuted for Australia, Drew Mitchell, and that was the year that I had my biggest moment on the racetrack. So there's a little bit of synergy there. So I've been looking forward to meeting this guy and find out about that debut, because he'll hopefully ask me about mine.
Oh, I'm guessing he will. All right, it is time now for our big interview with Drew Mitchell.
Here we go.
Yes, let me do this introduction for our very special guest for Who's the Boss today.
Don't worry
71.
about us, Drew. We'll have a chat between ourselves.
So,
mate.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, well,
He's just here for his good looks.
he's handsome, isn't he? All right, let me do this. 71 Wallabies caps, 112 Super Rugby caps across 3 teams, the Reds, the Force, and the Waratahs. 2-time European Champions Cup winner with Toulon in France, and the current Guinness World Record holder for most Granny Smith apples squashed in a bicep. It is Mr. Dimples himself, Drew Mitchell. Drew.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having
Welcome,
me on, Bossy.
mate. How are you, brother?
No, I'm actually a little bit nervous. Normally I'm a pretty comfortable doing a podcast with this guy, but that's because it's sort of rugby based and rugby related. But
Yeah.
and,
Well, we've got a
and
new
also
host.
it's rarefied air here with what you've achieved.
Oh, stop it.
He hasn't
stop
really
it.
achieved anything, so this is what's making me
The
nervous.
professor.
yeah, but self-proclaimed.
See what we do, Drew.
This is just not, sorry, it's not a pile on me. Guys, that's not while
It's
I'm
making me
here.
feel more
Oh,
comfortable.
sorry. Sorry, James.
Yeah.
Yes, no, you go. Yes.
So what we do, Drew, on this show, because it's a man's thing now. Normally Snooky's there,
Yeah.
and we have a champagne out of the cups.
Oh, okay.
But today, men, beer,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, beer. Let's do it.
We're in the man cave today.
What out of the cups?
Yeah, we'll see. And the thing about we have a little bit of synergy.
Yeah.
You debuted for Australia in 05.
I did.
Must have been that massive, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the pinnacle of your sport, what
Yeah,
you wanted to
absolutely,
achieve. And the pinnacle of my sport, I had the 3-peat in the Melbourne Cup.
Right.
It was in 05. So we're going to have a beer out of the cups, but I'm going to give you 05 because
Oh,
I reckon
mate.
that's special,
I
right?
don't know if I'm worthy to be
Bullshit, no,
honest.
you are. Fuck, we're all worthy, mate. So we're going to have a beer.
So these are our cocoa beers because I'm wearing the hat. So this is the rugby union podcast we do. So this is called. It is a good beer, thank you. It's cross pollination we're doing right now. I'm hoping people watching Drew
Yeah, absolutely.
will then tune into our rugby show, kickoffs and kick-ons, and we do have a beer. Thank you for that, Bossy. I'll hold that one up to the camera. There you go, so you can see what it is. That's the 05.
The best part about this, like, you put a beer in there, right?
Mm.
And say the beer's 3 degrees.
It keeps
After
it.
no, it gets cold.
Gets colder.
Feel that. It is unbelievable, mate.
Normally you have to wear white gloves when you hold this.
No, not with these ones, mate. These have been bashed up. These have had every drink available on the planet out of them. Cheers, boys.
Now,
Cheers.
forgive
Well,
me if I
mate.
spill a bit because I'm not actually used to drinking out of many cups.
How good.
Haven't won too many.
Good beer.
Oh,
Now, gents, you're both podcast aficionados now, which means you've got to put your microphones up to your mouths when you
Yeah.
talk. It's
And-
101.
Mate, we were drinking.
Sorry about that. Speaking of,
just make sure you get that in the one shot there, just so I can run it
Yeah,
back.
look at that.
is this a real moment for you, Drew? I know that you, well, that's a good spot to start, actually. You love your horse
Yeah.
racing. For many times you have been a big fan of the track.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this drinking out of a Melbourne Cup, well, not only that, the 3-peat
I know.
Melbourne Cup. Quite a moment.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Look, I've got little
That's
goosebumps
good.
going.
Yeah, you do too.
Yeah, look at that.
Seriously, can we zoom more on that shit?
Yeah, see one of these leagues. Mate, absolutely. I mean, I've only been to the Melbourne Cup Carnival a few times. The only reason being is normally in November we're on a tour into the UK.
Yeah.
So it's only a World Cup year that we actually have the time because the year finishes earlier that we get to go. So 2007 I was there, 2011, 2015 I wasn't excited to go back to Toulon, but now that I'm retired and I don't have to worry about peak performance or being on tours, then hopefully I get down again this year.
Yeah,
but
good.
Always been avid sort of follower of horse racing, but also just lover of the animal. Actually, a few years ago, it was my birthday, and my girlfriend at the time, she said, what do you want to do for your birthday? I said, I want to go horse riding. And now, look, I was carrying about 96 kilos, so a bit heavier than what you were on the back.
You could have been the horse.
Ivy Diva, but yeah, exactly. But no, I'm pretty fond of the track, and to be here with you, it's a great honour.
Any big days on the punt?
Yeah, I've had a couple of good days. Actually, probably my best day in horse racing punting was at Royal Ascot, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was able to get over there a couple of times when I was based in Toulon, and had some pretty good access and pretty good tips there, and basically just left one year in particular with my top hat filled with rolls of pound. Yeah, properly filled with it. Yeah. So I probably
how much did you win, do you think?
Probably around, I don't know, 9,000 quid or something.
Oh.
And you would have invested that wisely, put it into some sort of savings account, or
did
it go that night? Did you spend
most of it went that night? Yeah, went back into London and maybe led astray.
One of those houses in Bondi, and that's another one.
Just another house. No, that was you were telling me that you went into the Royal Mounting Yard? Yeah,
so we had some pretty good access there through Zara Phillips and Mike Tyndall, and so we got invited to. There's a few of us sort of footy boys, and there's maybe about 10 of us that were invited into the mounting yard, but also into the greeting area. So they do the look, forgive me for not knowing the term, but basically the Queen and all the royals will come down on their horse and carriages and go underneath the grandstand, and basically to the 10 of us waiting there to bow as they come in. Now the world's media are there overlooking, and they're like, who are these guys?
Wow.
And why have they got that access? And it was only obviously through Mike and Zara, but then we went into the actual sort of area where they came out, and they were obviously greeting the Queen and everyone else that was there, but we kind of had access all throughout the day. Now the first race, I really loaded up on this thing, and it got me off to a good start. I won, and I thought, well, it might be my only winner for the day. So I'll go back down to the mounting yard just to get a photo with the winning horse as it's getting presented, what you do afterwards once you win a race. But I went down to the gate and I said, oh, mate, excuse me, am I able to come in here? I just want to get a photo with the winning horse. And then he looked, and I had all these lanyards sort of on my buttons, and he goes, mate, you're basically on the place. And he just opened up, because I had that many different things hanging off my suit.
Wow.
And and it was amazing to have the access to speak to some of the jockeys before their rides, and obviously all the ownership circles and all that sort of stuff there. And it was actually one of the great days out. And obviously, when you're winning, it also.
How surreal that would have been.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Now, not to segue into a story that you've told me over a beer before, but there is another story that involves the royal family and lanyards. And the 2015, can you tell this one legally, the 2015 World Cup?
I don't know. Is there enough time gone by? Maybe we've got another.
Some of them are probably.
Yeah, it's 2015 Rugby World Cup in England, and tickets were pretty hard to come by. And a friend of mine said, mate, if you wouldn't mind to send me a few photos of your accreditation. Now, this is all alleged, of course, but so it's alleged that I sent 10 photos to him of all the different details that you would need to duplicate an accreditation pass. And he went on to duplicate it 6 times, right? Different photos, different names, but the same QR code. And as the pool stages went progressively further throughout the tournament, they got a little bit more brazen with their access. So they started in the outer, and then they ended up on the side of the field, and then by the time we were playing England, they were in the royal box, meters away from the Queen, and they were in the Bain Marie having some spring rolls or whatever food was on offer, and it just kind of, what caught the eye of the security was the colour of the lanyard, and he just went up to say to my mate, oh, can I just check your accreditation? And they scanned it, Drew Mitchell. And they went, well, that's funny, mate, because Drew Mitchell's out there playing. And so they got arrested. I didn't know about it at the time. We were then training throughout the next week, and then I kind of got a little bit of a tip-off that perhaps something was about to blow up. and I may have wiped my phone and all the rest of it. But I then the next day at training, the Scotland Yard came, like the detectives from the Scotland Yard came to the side of the pitch, and once we finished training, took me into a little room for a bit of an interview. And over the course of the last 2 pool stages, quarterfinal and semi-final, I was being investigated by the Scotland Yard about this royal security breach with the Queen, because now nothing happened, of course, but because they had they gained access when they weren't actually meant to be there. It was a serious breach, right? And so then Michael Checker, our coach of the Wallabies, he was like, "Mate, if you've got anything to do with it, I'm going to have to send you home. I can't have anything derailing our campaign." And Check was really good to me, so it pained me to have to lie to him. But I was like, I'm not going to sort of sit there and put myself on a plane and go home because it was also the year that they flew me back from France, so they changed the rules.
That's right. Yeah.
To have myself and Matt Giddo play. And so I was like just lying to him, and that hurt me the most. I've since told him that I was lying to him, and he said, "Well, mate, don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but you're a good liar." But anyway, so the week of the semi-final, they dropped the case, but my friends got a suspended 6 months jail sentence, and and I. But it was all alleged.
How was your sphincter when you were getting interviewed by Scotland Yard?
Yeah,
like you would have been.
Well, they were sliding across the accreditations, like they're saying, look, as far as accreditations and duplicates go, this is right up there with the best we've seen. But the colour of the lanyard was one that you get at the merchandise store, not that you get as a player.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what got the eye of the security guards. But mate, I was obviously fretting. Like the times I was training and being out there playing, weirdly in a World Cup, were the least pressure I was under during that campaign. Like I was like so worried it was all going to blow up. My family are all over there, and I thought, geez, I'm about to get on the plane. And I guess in hindsight, had he sent me home for something like this, it would have been more of a disruption.
Yeah, that's right. Massive blow up.
Because everyone would have wanted to know why I got sent home. But that was probably one time lanyards and accreditation nearly got me into a fair amount of trouble.
Are those British dramas pretty spot on, like with the whole good cop, bad cop thing in a room?
So it was just myself, 2 detectives, and our team manager. And
how were they? Were they aggressive?
One was like, it felt like he thought I was lying, and the other guy was like, pretty. He was like, "Oh mate, look," it was almost like he felt like they just had to do it, go through the process. But then I was just so worried about tripping up.
Yeah.
Because, the last thing I wanted to do as well, I was just looking after, I was allegedly just looking after a mate.
Yeah.
And then obviously it could have really blown up in my face there. But luckily.
Did you have anybody investigating you during any of the Melbourne Cups, or was there ever?
Never, no. That's one thing I've never had a...
Yeah, and see,
I've
really...
So I'm just really interested. Yeah.
I've never been arrested. I've never really had any sort of off-field scandals or anything. I'm like, oh my God. In my biggest moment, I could have, self-inflicted my own damage here. But
because when you and Giddo got welcomed back into the Australians, there was a term for that. It was
it was the Giddo law.
Was that what it was called? Right?
I pushed back a bit about that because they basically said if you've played 60 caps previously for the Wallabies and you're playing overseas, you've done enough for Rugby Australia to then earn the right to maybe be called back. Now Gitz was sitting on 93 caps. And I was on 61. I was like, if it was a Giddo law, it would have been 90.
Yeah,
but it was 60 to squeeze me in. So it should be the Mitchell law. But
it should be.
I guess his name has a bit more weight to it. And a better.
No, he doesn't have that story. But
no, that's true, Gitz does refer to it as the Mitchell law.
Yeah, only when I'm there because I'll always chip him.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Bossy, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, have you ever met any of the royal family? Have you ever?
Yeah. King Charles, I met him, and he was so interesting. Met him at Flemington, and I couldn't believe how engaging he was.
Yeah.
Like, look you in the eye, and like you get the feeling when you're around these people that they're on the clock a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With him, you didn't get that feeling. He was not on the clock. He stayed there and chatted. He wanted to talk about PIKEY and things like that, and he talked about how he was a horse rider and how he actually wanted to ride horses. Things like that, but. Yeah, he was there to the end, like it's almost to the point where you're thinking, oh, he's got to move on soon. But no, he's still in front of you, wanting to have a chat, and he just seemed like a normal bloke. Like you could go to the pub, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And have a chat about all sorts of things. So I found him really engaging.
Yeah. Have you met any other members of the royal family?
I've met, Prince William. I actually met Prince William in my underpants. Well, it was the 2007 Rugby World Cup, and he's, I think he's a patron to Welsh Rugby Union.
Yep.
And we're playing Wales, and he came into the dressing room afterwards. But someone came to the door and just and had a really thick English accent. And he said something to me I couldn't understand. I just sort of nodded along, and I had a beer and a pasty in my hand and in my playing tights, nothing else. And then all of a sudden, Prince William walks in. I was like, my beer on my arm. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. I was like, well, mate, do you want any? Like, do you want a beer? Do you want a pasty? Like, didn't really. And then I thought I might have to go and get some clothes on here. But again, I mean, this was 2007, so quite a while ago. But again, he just loved his rugby, and he was actually really quite surprised how tall he was.
I was about to say that he's a big boy. Yeah.
But I mean, Zara. I met Zara.
Yeah, of course.
Prince Harry.
Well, yeah, so you've met a few then.
Princess Margaret, sorry. Princess Margaret, yeah.
That's most of them, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, the Queen? Did you ever meet the Queen?
Yeah, I met the Queen. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You've met all the ones you want to meet.
Yeah. I haven't met King Charles, though.
He's dying to meet you, Drew.
Yeah,
he
I've
told
heard
me.
that.
That's on the list.
He's a big fan.
Yeah.
That's on the list.
Yeah, I'll just get some accreditation sorted.
Yeah, that'll be easy. Now, in my travels, preparing for this, I did a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
You know that, Bossy.
I know you. That's why you are the professor.
Oh, that's right. It's prof is short for professional, isn't it?
The prof.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was looking for correlations between your careers. Obviously, both,
Excuse me.
Still cold here.
Yeah.
Yes,
by
very
the
nice.
way.
Both amazing careers, great athletes for Australia. One thing that you both did, so you obviously achieved a lot here at home, and then you went overseas. So for you, Bossy, you went in Hong Kong.
Yep.
And then for you, Drew, obviously France and Toulon. I'm just wondering, was the pressure greater here in the fishbowl that is Australia, or did you feel more pressure racing almost on behalf of Australia, or playing on behalf of Australia overseas?
For me, I thrived on the pressure. So that's the thing. When I moved to Hong Kong and those other jurisdictions, I never quite got that thrill of getting up for a big race.
Right.
And that's the reason I returned back home. I did several years over there, but the last stint was a full year, and it was going to be I'd done everything I wanted to do in Australia. I was going to go there and for the next decade and outright, make a shitload of money, and then finish my career. I got there after that year, and felt nothing really that stimulated me. It become very normal there, and no big races to really get you, no good horses to ride.
Right.
And what happened? I come back twice to Australia to ride when I was over there, and I won a slipper and I won a Doncaster. Two major races, right? And so after the year, I thought, what am I doing? Like this, I felt a bit bored. Yes, the money's great, but I was never driven by money. I always wanted to ride good horses and good races. So that was I know it's a long answer to that question, but I needed to be stimulated by other ways.
Yeah.
And riding fast horses in big races and feeling those.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I love to feel like I was about to vomit.
Yeah.
Before
Well, I
a
did
race.
vomit. Before every game. That was the last thing I did.
Alan Lang, he's my best mate.
Yeah.
I'd be in the sheds with him before he'd play, and he vomited.
Yeah, right.
95%, spewed up everything.
Yeah,
95% of the time. If he didn't spew, he wasn't on, but he spewed most of the time. So yeah, I'd like to feel that.
Yeah.
But as soon as you put your 1 foot over the line to get onto the paddock, it all disappears.
Yeah.
Like, because then boom, you just
Well, you've done the prep
instincts come into it, and all the hard work and all the stuff you did that no one sees, all that kicks in, and you become almost you go into this sort of space, don't you? Where it's all instincts and
yeah. I mean, when I went over to Toulon, they'd already just won the first European Championship, and I was walking into a team with like superstars.
Yeah.
Johnny Wilkinson was the captain. Gitz was already there, like best mate of mine, but he'd done so much. Bucky's boat. Brian Habana was going when I was there. Like our team was sort of filled with stars, and I just remember the first time I went into the gym and I was like walking around, and these guys that I played against and respected, and now all of a sudden they were my teammates. But then they also already had this bar that they'd set and the expectation from a community in an area that really get behind their footy team. And I just thought, it was almost like a bit of a surreal moment going like, now these guys are my teammates.
yeah.
And it was weird because we never did any contact training, so that we never had to try and attempt a tackle, did a breakdown or anything at training, because it was long years. And our coach said there's enough opportunity to get injured in the games. We don't need to present those opportunities at training. but there was a mutual respect amongst the group. And I think because of the nature of the team as well, a lot of us were sort of nearing the back end of our career. So everyone kind of knew how to prepare and had enough respect for each other to know how to turn it on game day. And there was just this, it's probably more of an internal pressure more than anything, that you just didn't want to, I didn't want any of those guys to feel like I didn't deserve to be on their team. So like you just got yourself in that right mindset and you went out there and you performed to your own sort of standards, but also to try and maintain or uphold the standards that they already had there as a group. And then we went on my first year there, we won the European again, one weekend in Cardiff in Millennium Stadium. The very next weekend we won the top 14, which is the French competition in Paris. So that was a big couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then again, like we've just sort of set that bar even higher, and we went on and won a third the following year. But I think the pressure was probably more internal than it was external. I mean, of course, our supporters and the media, and I mean, I didn't actually read any of the media because I couldn't. It was in French, and so that was also nice for me to be able to detach from all of that. But the internal pressure that we put on ourselves, just to make sure that we deserved and earned the right to be alongside those guys that you got your arms around in the huddle, was far greater than anything I felt from the external.
So at this point of your career, you're very established and you're known as the finisher, right?
Yeah.
So how did you play all through that stint? Were you proud of yourself? Like, you upheld that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it took me a little while to get out. Like, I probably went in there. Look, if I had a ride in the Melbourne Cup, I wouldn't have made weight, right?
Yeah.
So I went there. I made my decision early in 2013 to go over. And at the end of that Super Rugby season, the current Wallabies coach said, we're not going to pick anyone for the British and Irish Lions, who only tour every 12 years. So it would have been my only chance to play them in my career, which is pretty big. He said, we're not going to pick anyone that's already committed to go overseas. So I guess, okay, well, Lions are no longer on the table for me. Let's get over to France and move on with that next part. But then they said, but we're not going to release you yet, just in case there's injuries and positions, and we might have to. And so I was in this sort of like bit of limbo where I wasn't able to play, but I also wasn't able to go. And I wasn't in any sort of training structure routine. And I probably felt like I was doing enough, but certainly wasn't. The balance of long lunches and things like that here in Bondi probably got away from me a little bit. And I went over there and I was certainly underdone when I got there. But I think once I sort of found my feet, I felt comfortable. I had like my support network over there was Matt Giddo and his wife, which was like really useful for me. I'd have dinner at their place 5 or 6 nights a week. And it was also just really nice to have that sort of sounding board with Gitz, but also I had a good relationship with his wife and still have. But just to have that sort of familiarity when I was in a foreign area, couldn't speak the language, didn't know anyone necessarily outside of that. So that kind of really helped me. But once I sort of started to feel comfortable, and then I could just go to footy and do what I needed to do. And it was also really competitive. Like we had, experienced international players on the bench, and some even wouldn't even make the 23. So training and the level of performance had to be at a standard for you just to even make the side. I went over there, and I think the year we won the double was 42 games in a year. So and only one per week. So they're long years. And that was also probably another thing to have to deal with, because Super Rugby, it's done in 18 weeks, right? Yeah. So you play you're starting in August. It's sort of nice, climate, and you're playing in good conditions, and you go through the winter, and you're playing up in the snow in Paris and Oyonnax and all these different places, and then you get through the winter, and then you kind of come into the back end of our season, which then gets to the summer as well. So there's just like different parts to it, and you've just got to make sure that. And also, this is a big part of the coaching over there, is to make sure that players mentally aren't getting burnt out. But I think overall I was pretty happy with how I performed, and I think off the back of my performances for Toulon was what got Michael Checker, myself, and Matt Giddo to come back and play and add something to that 2015 Wallaby squad. Yeah.
Now you and Gitz are tight.
Yeah.
You obviously went with him. You played at the Western Force with Gitz.
Yeah.
And you've told me a story about a Mad Monday that took place at the Force.
Well, this is everyone knows over in Perth, like Pikey, William Pike in the last.
Yeah,
like if you
get on Pikey.
If you've done your dash all day on the punt, you just get on Pikey in the last. Now this would have been, I was there 2007, 8 and 9, so it was maybe 2008. And we finished our season and we went down to Ascot for our Mad Monday. And, everyone's dressed up, in theme, and I was in an inflatable clown suit with the face all painted and doing cartwheels down on the grass in front of the stand. And everyone told me this, everyone told me when I first got to Perth, you've just got to back Pikey, back him all day. And so I did. And this particular day just couldn't do it, couldn't get the job done. And so I made a point of going down to the rail. And as he was coming back after another race that he lost, I said, "You couldn't fucking ride a rocking horse, Pikey." and he was riding past, and he looked at me and goes, "Oh, fuck off, you clown." And I was like, "Yeah, well played." And just cartwheeled my way back up to the stand. But but even still, even now, I still look at every day I'm on the punt, I'll look at what Pikey's on in the last over there.
Did he ride the last minute that day or no?
To be honest, I'd already done my day. So I'd done my dash and
no money left.
No money left, so I didn't even look.
Was there an equivalent for Bossy? Get on Bossy in the third, or was there a no, nothing like that?
Get on Bossy on Maccabi.
Yeah, there was that one.
Yeah.
Get on me in a Group 1 race. That was about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Canterbury midweek. That was
no good.
No, well, everyone said that's the reputation I gained that I was no good through the week.
Well, it's the bright lights, like you were saying before, the things that get you up.
But the thing is, what happens? You when that reputation comes, people start not putting you on through the week. So then it snowballs the other way.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So
it starts to feed your
itself
on the weekend.
Yeah. So then what happens? I could never get a ride midweek.
Yeah, right.
It was ridiculous.
Was a part of you not enjoying Hong Kong, because we went to the Sha Tin races when we went to the Hong Kong Sevens this year.
Yeah.
And we were there and we were standing and we were cheering the horses and we were doing what you do at the races in Australia, but everybody was absolutely silent. And they were sitting, it was midweek.
Yeah.
But was that part of it? Or is that just the day we were there that they don't get up and cheer? And...
It might have been just the day you were there.
Yeah, right,
I went to the Rugby Sevens over there a few times when I was over there. They get dressed up and go mad.
Yeah. We were in the
that's
South
a proper
stand.
show, right?
Yeah.
That was actually quite fun.
All the punters when we went to Sha Tin, they had those tables where they, your little desk, and they're all doing their form, and it's all very. I don't know. It seems a little bit more kosher than.
It's a bit. What could I say? Not stale or.
They're just there
for the one reason for a punt, right?
Not what the reason
they're not there for socialising.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're not there for drinking, partying, and having fun. They're there to win money.
Yeah, I was going to ask. When you're talking about when you get in front of that atmosphere and you feel that crowd and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, you're running over long distances and there's not the crowd all along. When you're coming around the corner in the last straight, is it something that you can really feel? Once you sort of start getting in front of the stand and everyone's just going absolutely nuts, is it something that it's tangible and palpable? That
Drew, Cox Plate Day is a day because it's not a massive crowd at Moonee Valley, but because it's such an amphitheatre. Yeah. So if there's 50,000 there, it feels like 150 because they're right on top of you. Yeah. So you'll stand in the barriers. And this happens Melbourne Cup Day as well, but you'll stand in the barriers and you can hear the call. So the last one's coming in. Next thing, it comes down, and you can actually feel it coming towards you, almost like a tsunami wave. Yeah, right. And then you really start to holy fuck, because now we're in a Cox Plate, right? Yeah. And then the gates open and you can hear it, but it's kind of muffled. That first time you go down to the wind, and then you start going down and away, and everything just goes completely silent. All you can hear is the hooves, and the wind, Yeah. And then you start coming up the hill, and you hit the corner, and it actually hits you. The noise actually hits you, and wow, this noise. And it sort of adds to what you do.
Goosebumps again.
What's
going on?
This is good though. Can we just flip this and just ask you a bunch of questions?
But what I will say, when you stand in Melbourne Cup Day, right? Because you start at the 900 metres from the winning post. Yeah. So the rails and it's all full, 120,000 whatever there, and you're sitting there and you can. The last one comes in and you feel it. You actually see it coming down. Like people do the Mexican wave. Yeah. It almost like that coming towards you. Yeah. And you're in the barriers and it's almost you can see. You almost see the sound. It's fucking unbelievable. And you're in there and it's like whoa. And then as soon as the gates open, that's when it all goes very quiet. Right. But when I won in 2005, it was the weirdest sensation I've ever had in my life. So she broke clear and she was going to win. So I had 300 metres, Drew, to just go, I'm home. Yeah. Right? And all my senses just come alive then and when horses gallop, when their first foot hits the ground, it's called breaking stride. So they'll go from doing, say, 68 to 70 kilometres an hour, they'll slow down by about 3 or 4K.
Right.
So there's this moment where it goes quiet because the wind's not coming.
Yeah,
So you
right,
go,
yeah.
it's but it happens in a millisecond.
Yeah, okay.
I could hear the call. I could hear in that moment. I could. So when it happened so quickly, the moments got to match up towards each other,
Yeah.
and I could hear the call. I could hear the crowd. I'd never heard it in my life. And it's like if you broke away
Yeah.
with 80 metres to go, and you know that you're going to
yeah.
about to score to win it, and you embrace the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
right.
like one of those moments.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you, in that moment when you broke away, did you have the moment to yourself where you went,
Yeah.
holy shit, I'm about to become the first jockey in the history of this thing. It's been going for, it was like 150 years or close to when you did it,
Yeah.
maybe 145,
Yeah.
to win 3 of these in a row. Did you have that moment?
Yeah, because I studied history and I have a sense of history of our game, and you know the first thing that came into my mind, I felt like Edmund Hillary.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I'm going to be the first person that's going to do this. You know,
Yeah.
he was the one that planted the first one up when he climbed Everest. That's the first moment
right.
that came to me. Like no one's done this.
Yeah.
And then obviously the second moment I was thinking about her. You know, this great athlete that carried me all the way.
Yeah.
And then you become in awe of the animal and what they do.
What's your relationship with her now? Do you
It's
see her
amazing.
much?
Yeah, it's good. I go down to see her. I'll go down again this spring and see her. She's 25 or 6 now. So she's getting towards the end, but she's in great condition. And it's funny, you do get there. They're like big dogs,
Yeah.
Drew. Like they recognise you, the smell, that they know your voice. They've got all those senses. So when you do get with them, they recognise you. And
I was going to say that because, you know, often on social media, you see those sort of animal reunions when it's a trainer, or if it's like a lion trainer, or you know, or someone's dog that they haven't seen in so long, and you can see that they remember them. Like, is there a time, or is there footage or anything, or maybe we could capture it the next time in spring when you go out there to see her, where you go to the paddock and you shout out or whatever, and she notices it's you and runs over and gets all, you know, tail starts going?
I have some footage on my phone because the girl who looks after her, she's become a bit of an old bitch these days. Like very temperamental now. She's older.
You mean the horse is?
That
But
she
not
is.
the girl
not the
looking
handler.
after her.
Not the handler. I will confirm that. Well done, Drew. But she said you can't have her for long. She's very temperamental. She doesn't like standing still.
Sure.
I had her for about 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
Cuddling her, and I got this great footage of me head on her head, and just cuddles, you know.
Yeah.
And I had 2 of the strongest football people with me, like proper men. Ty Keneally was one, and Michael Crocker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
you know, 2 strong men, both crying.
Yeah, right.
Going, this is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they were reduced to tears because I thought, well, this is a special moment that we'll never see, you know.
Yeah.
I get choked up, you know.
Yeah, that's
I get
great.
really choked up.
Did you, when you were riding her, and would you talk to her
Oh,
mid-race?
yeah. I used to call her mum.
And what would you say? Would you?
So, you know, if they get a bit in a race, Drew, we talk to them. Basically, we communicate with our hands.
Yeah.
A lot of it's because they feel
Right,
us,
yeah, yeah.
right? So it's all hands, but they'll hear your voice, and every time she'd get a little bit like, I just feel her come up underneath me when I didn't want her to,
Yeah.
because you want them to relax as possible, right?
Sure.
I just go, woo, mum, and one ear would come back like that.
Yeah,
like
right.
she'd have 2 ears like that, and one ear would come back immediately, and then you feel her desensitise.
right, okay.
Straight away, she goes like that.
Yeah.
Woo, mum, and straight away,
Yeah,
just
right.
go like that. Yeah.
What about
You know, this has become us interviewing you, boss.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you realise.
No, this is
I know,
good,
but
'cause-
Thanks for coming on
Yeah,
our
yeah.
show, mate. Very good of you.
Do you want another beer, Drew?
yeah, I
This is
will
good,
get
isn't
into it.
it?
I was going to ask as well about when you're in the gates and you're waiting there, and while the last couple of horses getting loaded up. Are there any jockeys, or are you one of them that talk, or like,
Oh, yeah,
we're on here, boys, or, you know, like just anything like that's, you know, because I would imagine the energy there would just be like amazing when you're talking about, you know, for the Melbourne Cup, and that sort of wave of excitement, anticipation's coming to hit you, and you just like, you feel like you're about to be a part of something pretty special. Like, is there any chat amongst the jockeys?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's in a race. It's like us talking now. We're
Yeah,
that
right.
close. We're actually closer than that.
Yeah.
I could easily reach over
Yeah,
and touch you.
yeah.
You know. So, and there is
Or
a
undo
lot.
someone's strap or something.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of talk is there'll be a little bit of banter every now and then, but a lot of it's for safety.
Yeah.
Like if someone's not in your peripheral vision, sorry, and you start to move, one of the boys say, "Hey, hang on, I've got one inside me." You know what I mean? Just for
Yeah,
safety, and it's as clear as day, right? But there'll be other times where you'll say, "Geez, you give that a geez, you give that a sore back in the last race, didn't you, mate? You know,
Oh,
come up
yeah.
and so I can take them out of their zone.
Yeah,
So fuck me, you got outridden in the last race, didn't you, mate? Like, you know,
Just
what I mean?
little mind
moments
games, yeah.
like that.
Because I mean, it's topical at the moment in rugby. There's a bit of chat like in
Yeah.
World Rugby about some sledging that happened to a couple of players at a World Cup. Has there been any like proper sledging?
Yeah, proper.
Like in blow ups and stuff.
Oh,
back
there's
in the
been
Dustin
blow-ups,
sheds?
but generally it's kept in-house, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because can you imagine, when you're talking about blow-ups, can you imagine two 50-kilo blokes going at it? It's
Yeah.
not really. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really
sure.
a blow-up, is it?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you know. But in your sport, though,
Yeah.
like, did you ever have, like, because I was a studier of great athletes, and doesn't matter what genre, I used to studying great athletes, and like yourself, like, did you ever have a moment in your career where you actually went into that bubble, where you went into that real quiet place where you weren't actually moving, you were just reacting to what was happening around you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? The game become too easy at some points.
Yeah, I think probably two periods of time kind of come to mind. One was probably around back end of 2010, 2011, where I just felt like I was running on top of the ground, not into the ground.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was just in a place where I could break tackle. Like, I don't know, I just had a real strong sort of belief and confidence in what I could do. And off the back of that was playing probably some of my best footy. I then went on to break my ankle, just in a game, which kind of, stopped that before I went into the World Cup. I mean, I got back for the World Cup. It just wasn't quite the same for a period of time. But then probably the other one was, when you talk about just being reactive and just sort of instinctive type of play, like there was probably just a try that I scored for Toulon in the final.
You got to
one
say
of
it,
those,
boss.
one of those European Cups.
It's unbelievable.
And it was, I kind of just was probably about, 40, 50 meters out or something. But I don't know, it was
know
weird.
exactly how many meters it was.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Well, but it was one of those ones where I was sort of stepping, but also just sort of swerving, and it was, I don't know, I just felt like even though I was a long way out, I weirdly just had this sort of feeling like it was inevitable that I was going to score that try. Might sound really obnoxious to, when you see the start from where I get the ball and what I had to do to get to the try line. But it was, I don't know, it was just one of those moments where like it was almost slowed down.
Yeah. It's a real thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, James, it's a real thing. And I've asked a lot of athletes, it's like that golfer who shot 60 or 59, and you say, what were you thinking about? And he goes, I can't remember thinking.
Yeah.
I don't remember. And you almost have too much energy after the game because it's all you're doing is you're not working.
Yeah.
Your brain takes over and your body just reacts to what it's been told. You know what I mean? But you can only get to these places you have the tools to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you got to be good at what you do.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though. So that try for that Toulon,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. If you are sitting watching this, type in Drew Mitchell Toulon try.
Yeah, Toulon was Clermont.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Have a look at it. Did you ever have that perfect race, that perfect ride?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know right now which one it was?
It was 05 Cup. It's the moments that when you say you get into these moments,
Yeah.
but you can only get to these moments if you know that you can rely on yourself to get the job done. Like, you know what I mean? And not many people know this, James and Drew. I used to walk before a major race, right? I used to walk into the bathrooms just before we were about to get mounted up because, I'd be churning inside, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to feel like that. I really wanted to feel like I was just about to fucking give it all up and vomit. But I'd walk into the bathrooms and I'd look myself down the barrel, and because you can't lie to yourself when you look down when you look in the barrel and you look down the barrel, you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
You got to. So I'd say, Bossy, you're the best rider of the year. You know that, right? You've done all the work, and you're on the best horse. And I'd say, that you can smash it. You know you can rely on yourself. And the last thing I'd tell myself, just now relax. And that would be my trigger. And I'd walk out there, and then I'd go into that state. I'd walk out there, and trainers' nose means fucking. I looked like I'd glazed over.
Yeah, right.
I just go, yeah.
You're just in the. That's what they call the zone, right?
Yeah.
I reckon I got there, and I was fortunate. I reckon I got there 5 or 6 times in my life.
Yeah, right.
And it was the most surreal
Yeah.
place. You know what I mean? But,
I don't because I've never been
no, but I mean,
there. But yes, I do know.
I was
what you
lucky
mean.
enough to get there
True,
on a
yeah.
few occasions, where you just kind of completely you look at people, but you can't see their face. You hear noises, but they're just all muffled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's
getting
weird.
goosebumps. This is a real amazing.
But
Now,
I mean, as an athlete, that you get into these places,
Yeah.
and sometimes you don't know when it's going to happen, but you just go there,
Yeah.
and at the right appropriate moment, you go there.
I could talk about this all day. Unfortunately, I do need to wind us up.
No.
I'm conscious
I'm
of
just
the
starting to
edit
get into this.
today. I know. We'll have to get you back again.
Can I
Drew.
do something from our show? We've got we
Yes.
do a start one, bench one, drop one when a guest comes on, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have 3 players in their position, and they've got to start one, bench one, drop one. So I'm going to change it slightly to who gets the ride, who's the emergency jockey, and who's shoveling the shit.
Right
Right?
now.
And
Right-
you've got to
right now?
you've got to pick between Damien Oliver,
Mm-hmm.
J Mac, and
Your third
Who's
was
that?
Hugh Bowman.
and Hugh Bowman.
Oh, Jesus.
Right, so they're the
Christ.
3. Only one can get the ride. One's the reserve, and one's shoveling.
And we will send it to all 3
I'm
riders.
bloody nervous now.
They will all see this.
Sorry, boys. One of you is just going to keep pulling up shit. Oh, okay. Give it to me.
Well, this is you.
This is
Yeah,
you. This
you've
is-
got to-
so
you've got to pick.
You've got to pick. So who? Damien
Right
Oliver.
now?
Yes, J Mac, Hugh Bowman.
Well, everyone knows how much I love J-Mac. He's
Mhm.
the world's best jockey. And
Yep.
I've been calling this for the last 5 years. He is the world's best jockey. He is a young man. He's just 31 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's he will ride his 100th Group 1 winner this weekend.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Which one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it'll be one of them.
Okay, right.
But no, yeah, probably the flight stakes he'll
Okay.
win. But he is someone that he is different.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to have Damien Oliver.
Right.
So J Mac's
J-Mac's
J-Mac's
number
getting the
one.
ride.
Yeah, J-Mac's because and then Ollie just gets the job done.
Yeah.
The finisher.
Yeah, yeah.
He is the finisher.
And Hugh,
Ollie in a tight finish, he wins 8 out of 10.
yeah, right.
And that's high.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that is high. Yeah.
He never gets. He has this ability to find an inch when
Yeah.
you think there's no inch. And Huey Bowman, well, I mean, it's hard to put him, but
Yeah, I know, but someone's got to be
he's
shoveling.
a country boy. He won't mind shoveling shit.
Yeah, there you
Very, very good. What a good spot to end a wonderful
Yeah.
interview. Drew, thanks for coming
No
in.
worries. Thanks very much for having me, and
Thanks,
thank you for
Drew.
allowing me to drink out of the cup. Really
Mate,
special.
cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Absolutely, what a pleasure. Thanks, Drew.
Cheers.
Hey, James. We should do this more often.
Oh, absolutely.
I like the man cave.
Yeah, with a few beers and
Man cave. what-
drinking
Do
out
I get to
of the
take that
cups.
home, or
Bossy,
I
the
don't,
question
I don't think I want to drink beer out of anything else anymore.
Bossy, the question I was dying to ask you was, it's a bit silly, but do you, if there's a piggyback race, do you take it way too seriously?
Yeah, I'm competitive, eh?
Yeah.
So if you
I
jump,
can't
if,
help myself.
so if you
yeah.
jump on the back of a human, you're as competitive as you are on a horse.
How do I go, Sandy? Yeah, yes. No, but yeah, I can't help myself.
Yeah, of course.
I'm ridiculous. Even if I'm washing a car, I have to do it.
Mm.
It has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm just a bit weird like
Yeah.
that. Just.
Well, I
like-
mean, I think that's probably speaks to why you've been so successful as well. If you don't
but
have
you'd
that
be a bit like
application.
that, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
things. I was always taught
If you're going
if
to
you do it, do
Mm.
it properly,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
don't do it.
Beautiful sentiment. Let's end it right there.
Like this show.
Well, there you go, Bossy. Drew Mitchell.
Yeah, the finisher.
Yeah.
Bit like myself.
Yes, you actually had a bit of stuff in common.
Well, we did actually. Very, very intelligent guy. I want to do another one with him.
Yeah,
I reckon that wasn't long enough. I just
No.
felt like we were scratching the surface.
we were.
And I'd love to get him back in again. He's so interesting.
Well, when I spoke to him on the phone before he came in to do the chat with you, he was like a kid in a candy shop coming in to meet Glenn Boss. So I don't think it'll be a hard task to get him in again. He was so excited to come in and meet you, mate. I think you've made a bit of money over the years.
Well, I
is
think,
what I.
and he was generally like chuffed of having a
Oh
beer.
yeah.
And 05 being like the synergy, like he's debuted for Australian 05 and to have a drink out of 05 cup, you could see he was genuinely
Oh, mate.
excited.
He'll be talking about that for years, I think.
Yeah, I hope
Drew
so.
Mitchell, mate. It is now time for this. That's right, Bossy's
That's it.
best. We love this segment every week. It is Bossy giving you a bit of an insight into what's coming up on the weekend, forecasting a touch, getting the crystal ball out. Has it been going well, this? Has anybody come up to you and said, Bossy, you gave me a bum steer? Or
Yeah, I've got a few of
Yeah.
those little backhanders, but I've got a few I've got right. It's horse racing.
Yeah.
I wish I had the crystal ball to
Yeah,
get it all
absolutely.
right, but I've been pretty well on the money.
Yeah. No,
Pretty
I
well.
think you've been going all
Not
right.
too
Let's start, Bossy, with the big race in Sydney this weekend.
Well, we've got we've got 4 big races, but 3 particular ones. The Flight Stakes, the Premier Stakes, and obviously we've got the Metropolitan, which is the other good race there on the weekend, and the Epsom Handicap. So let me start with the Flight Stakes.
Yep.
This filly, Autumn Glow, will just continue to go on her merry way. She's 3 from 3. It could be the next big. It could be the next big thing in racing. She's got it all. She's got the record. She's got the trainer, Chris Waller.
Yep.
She's got the jockey, James McDonald. There's a lot to say this could be the next big thing in Australian racing. They'll probably give her one more run in the Flight Stakes and then tip her out and get ready for the autumn. So she will continue on her merry way, which she's done. Okay, the Premier Stakes.
Yeah.
Now, this is the fork in the road for everyone heading towards the Everest. So, Giga Kick, he'll be second up. He's had a trial in between his first run. He'll improve sharply. I'm tipping him to come back.
This one? Okay.
Yep. And then we've got Think About Who's first up. He'll run in the second in the Everest. He'll be second up in the Everest. So that's, and Bella Nipotina. So these are the favourites for the race, for the Everest coming up. So it's going to be an interesting race.
A nice race. All right. And then the Epsom Handicap?
In the Epsom Handicap, I'm going for my man again, Kel Vacchia, Chris Waller, James McDonald. Now, James is going for his 100th Group 1 winner on the weekend. He's probably going to get 101.
You're tipping 2 for him on the weekend?
I'm tipping 2 for him on the weekend, mate. And
then does he raise his bat? What does he do if he gets 100?
Yeah, he'll raise his bat.
Yeah.
What a remarkable achievement. He's in his early 30s to ride 100 Group 1 winners. It's never been seen before.
Amazing stuff. Now, also down south in Flemington, we've got the Turnbull Stakes.
We've got the Turnbull Stakes. I'm tipping Via Sistina. She won brilliantly first up in the Wink Stakes. I was told from the camp that she wasn't 100% second up. And she raced a little bit flat, but will bounce back. 2,000 metres at Flemington, she'll bounce back and she'll arguably be vying for favouritism for the Cox Plate after she wins on the weekend.
Okay.
There you go.
Big, bold statements from Bossy. I love it,
go.
mate. I absolutely love it. That was Bossy's Best. All right, hey, that was the show. Drew Mitchell, what an epic interview. Well, in all honesty, it was an interview with Drew Mitchell and Glenn Boss. We kind of spun it on there at the end on your Bossy, but it was an absolute privilege to be here. Julie will be back next week to sit on the couch with you again. Have you got a big guest next week? I think you might.
Yeah, we have a
couple of Bs.
Yes. Am I allowed to announce it?
Yeah,
lunatic
go for it.
Bjorn Baker.
Yeah, that's a big guess.
Oh, Bjorn Baker. He's like I've said this a few times about a few of my guests, but Bjorn Baker probably lives up to the title. He was definitely like flying a wind, like a kite, windstorm. He's funny, but you don't know where he's going to go next. Very, very good human being.
Oh, very, very good. Looking forward to that. Just a reminder, socials where you can find us on Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. We are at Who's the Boss Pod, also anywhere you get your podcasts from. Bossy, absolute treat for me to be here with you. Thank you so much, mate.
Thanks, James, the professor. The big P.
All right, we'll see you next week. Well, I won't. Julie will be back for Who's the Boss. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
There you have it, another episode of Who's the Boss. If you'd like to subscribe, you can head over this side. And if you'd like to see more content, head over this side. We'll catch you next time on Who's the Boss.